All right, let's get into it. So for the previous session, I was telling you guys about what you need. Why it's nice to be in lecturing, because I want to try and pull you guys in. Come join me, come join me. It can be some sort of headache too, or maybe I didn't say that in the previous video. Sometimes you can have a headache too, but anyway, those are the good and fun part. Now, how do you get into lecturing? Especially this is directed at international students. So the first thing you need to know that you will be required to have some qualifications. So the first one would be definitely at a postgraduate level, a master's and a PhD ideally. Now what happens is, especially where you're going to be employed full-time, most likely you will be required to have a PhD. With home students, I've seen some jobs they advertise they don't necessarily require PhD with them, but I think with most international students, you would really secure yourself and place yourself on a high pedestal compared to your other applicants if you have a PhD. So you most likely will get called back with a PhD than without. So I would say MSc in addition to your BSc obviously, and a PhD would be the educational qualification requirements. So that's the first thing we need to get locked down. So obviously, if you're in your PhD, you could start by doing some, and I'll talk a bit more about those, part-time jobs, little here and there, demonstration seminars to help, add to your work experience, add to your CV, and then you now use that to apply for a full-time role that would give you visa to stay in the country, right? So the next thing is that on your CV or on your application, you would be required to look at your teaching experience. This is where, like I was saying, if you're doing your PhD, I see so many PhD candidates. They are almost at the end of their PhD, or some of them even finished, and they are applying for jobs and they are not getting callbacks because they don't have any experience. All they have is just that research and that's it. So while you're doing your PhD, if you're interested and you want to stay in academia, rake up or pile up those experiences. Voluntary, like I said, part-time, there are part-time roles. I'll talk a little bit about those. Voluntary roles, there are seminar, there are just marking. Sometimes they will just employ you or give you some contracts for just marking. All those kind of things you need to really try and get them in there as part of your evidence, because they would look at that. For me, when I was in my PhD, I did voluntary teaching, I did part-time ones, I did assessment officer. So you can also do support lecturers in assessing students, maybe presentation or whatever the case may be. And I did that, and all of that added to my CV. I didn't really teach much, to be honest. I taught only for maybe a term or a session, and very few classes in a session, and I just added that up and helped my CV. So that's another requirement. They would like to see what you have done around teaching in the UK. So that's like some of the requirements for full-time roles. Obviously, if it's part-time, it's a bit lax in terms of how much they expect from you. Also, the other thing is that you may be required to have what is called teaching qualification. So obviously you have your educational qualification, which I've mentioned, but you may be required to have teaching qualification. Now, what's teaching qualification? Just those certification that helps them know that you have one or two ideas of how to teach, because it's different when you know the subject area and when you're actually teaching people to know the subject area as well. There are two different ball games. So they want to have an idea, what are the teaching theories are you using, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to bore you with all that. So you can look into, there's something called, or there's an organization called the Advanced Higher Education Academy in the UK, that they are like the body that everyone strives when it comes to teaching to be a member or part of. You get theirs. They have different qualification. You could have associate HEA, so that's associate fellow. You could have fellow, you could have principal fellow, and I think there's national teaching fellow or something. So it gets really big. There's senior, and then there's national, like that. So for you, if you're just joining academic environment, master's, PhD, if you have one or two teaching gigs that you've done, like I said, seminar, demonstration, whatever the case may be, as small as it might be or as big as it might be, you can use that to apply for HFHEA, which is the associate. So that's the associate fellowship. So you could use that to apply for associate. Once you have that on your CV, honestly, I promise you that really helps a lot in getting you that job. Okay, so the next thing to look into is that they want to also know the courses you can teach. So in your application, you need to write on, I've taught A, I've taught B, or I have a knowledge of A and B because I've done my master's or my PhDs around that field. And then you can use that to also expand on what you can teach. So for example, for me, when I was doing my PhD, I was able to, I use different research methods. I use research methods, right? During my PhD, I was looking also in terms of topic area. I was obviously public health. I was looking at diabetes, ethnic minorities. So all of that is what I pull out from them what I can teach. So an example is I was able to write on there that I can teach health promotion because element of health promotion was in my thesis. I could teach research method. Almost all PhD students, I believe, should be able to teach research method because I mean that's what you've done for years, right? So research method, I put that down. Global health, because I was working with minority groups. They were from different countries. Inequality in health, you just look at all of that. You can put that also to mention that in the advert, we might have to go through adverts, and I just show you some of the things that they would expect from you. So but in the advert for any lecturer job, you would see that they would sometimes list out some courses that they want you to teach. You need to try and look for how you can link your profile to those topics and courses as well. So that's the next thing. Obviously, there are other administrative or responsibilities outside teaching itself. So you're looking at marking, you're looking at maybe tutorial, seminar, pastoral support, admin. Really, they're just endless admin. So if you have any of those skills, you want to put that there, that you have them, or they might even ask you if you do have them. Sometimes they will ask you, sometimes you offer that I can do A, B, C in addition to I can teach. The more you have, the more they might consider you. Okay, and then the other thing is that they would also like to know about your research. So what are your research background, your record in research? Have you published? Have you gotten grants? Have you gone to conferences? Have you been part of organizing committee on the conference? What are your external link? What are your a lot. Yeah, they expect a lot from you. So, what are your external links? What do you have? National, international track record in research? Have you collaborated with people far and wide? All of that they would want to know. And even if they don't ask you, add them, because those are the things that lecturers do. They always want us to get funding. Funding is like a big one, especially if you have been able to secure, even if it's this small of a grant, it would go a long way in helping you in your application. Okay, so I've also talked about publication. Obviously, publication, journals, peer review. Definitely, there's something we call ref. So lecturers are encouraged, maybe not necessarily required, compulsory, but you're encouraged to look into publishing in high impact journals so you can get your ref going for the university. And so if you have any of those, they would really want you. Okay. What else have I got? Obviously, outside all of that, you're thinking about interpersonal skills. How do you work in an environment? How can you support students? If you have supervision experience, or you sort of like can't able to supervise, they would also like that, because that's part of what you will be doing. But like I said, interpersonal skills, did I say personal? Yeah. Professional skills as well. How professional are you in the workplace? How can you hold yourself? How can you contribute to the team? How flexible are you? How are you able to work under pressure? How are you able to meet deadlines? It's endless what we have to go through. So, but they expect that you get all these things, and so if you have them, Or if you don't have them, this is why I'm making this video. If you don't have them, pen them down and start filling it up. How can you get any of these things as you go on, especially if you're coming in and your plan is I want to be in academia? Start piling them as you go on. Get your portfolio going. Okay, the other thing I want to talk now is about pay. So how much are we paid? So like I said, I put out a tweet on entry-level income for lecturers, and people went ballistic. So when it comes to pay scale, usually we start with lecturing, then there's senior lecturing, then there's I think associate prof or reader in some universities. There could also be principal lecturer, but that's not very common nowadays. And then there's professor and professor 1, professor 2. They have different, and emeritus, and just goes on and on that way. So but at lecturer, there's like about 4 to 5, I believe, steps for you to get to senior lecturer. So what that means is that once you get in as at the entry level, which is lecturer band 1, like literally L1, you will be progressing every year to L2, to L3, to L4. I mean, I don't know if that's what they call it, but you progress to level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then the next level automatically you go to senior lecturer. And the same goes to not necessarily the same, the associate prof. You also go from senior lecturer, you go all the way, but for you to get to associate prof, they expect some things from you. So it's not just automatic. You have to submit some evidence that if not, and that's why many people get stuck at senior lecturer level and they don't get to progress to associate prof, because they are just not evidencing it. So what they just do is they get stuck. Once they get to that highest point, they just get stuck, continue to get their pay, and that's it. Life goes on. So the pay scale now, in terms of scale, how much do you get paid? Obviously this depends on university, depends on context, depends on courses, depends on so many things, because there are some universities that pay more than other universities. So maybe you want to look for those that pay more. But what in general for a lecturer, you should be expecting roughly around 35 to 40,000 pounds, depending on where the location and the university. In general, London universities pay a bit higher because of London is expensive, and also they add about 3,000 pounds as London waiting fee. So that means in addition to your normal bonus, your normal pay, they add about 3,000 pounds every year, not every month though. I wish it was every month. So every year they add that amount. So we're talking around 35 to 40,000 pounds for lecturer. For lecturer. Now for senior lecturer, you will be talking around 40, 45, depending on the location as well, all the way to 50 or even higher. Like I said, sometimes you will have senior lecturer / associate prof, and that might give you maybe up to 60,000 kind of pay grade. And what else? Yeah, at associate prof, that would be maybe roughly around 50 something to 60 something, 65, 60, whatever. And then obviously from prof, that's also maybe like 65 to 70 whatever thousand pounds, depending on the university, depending on the location, and depending on all that things, your profession. So those that are like in the clinical area do get more than non-clinical area as well. So just anyway, those are the things. I think I'm going to share that my tweet, and I'm going to go down with the breakdown of how much you earn and how much you may expect to be spent in a month. It will be nice. Okay, I think I've talked about progression in terms of it goes yearly. The next thing on my I do have my jotted down notes here. The next thing in addition to the progression is promotion. I didn't talk about promotion. So you could actually get promoted. You may not go all the way from each level to the highest, and then you may just get promoted. Pew, pew. So you may get promoted, So I got promoted. So when I came into lecturing, into academia, I started at level 1, entry level for a lecturer. and then I was on that for a year, so I got to level 2, and then from level 2 I got promoted. I didn't get to level 3, I got promoted, and so I think my promotion was level 1 and 3, level 2, so level 3, level 4, and level 5. So I sort of like skipped like 3 years. Yeah, I sort of like skipped like about 3 years of progression and just went to senior lecturer. Obviously, this is not for everybody. I mean, I had to put in the work. I had to show the reasons why they have to promote me. It was not an easy ride, but it was done. So you can also get promoted. Like I said, you would most likely not get promoted to associate prof unless you really show evidence, like the evidence is heavy on your side, for them to really allow that. Okay, I do hope by now that you know everything about lecturing. No, nothing. No, not everything. Some, a few, maybe. Okay, the other thing is, where can you get lecturing jobs and their adverts? So obviously Google is your friend, the first place you start anything. Now sometimes I want to cough and I'm like, can I cough? Let me ask Google. So yeah, definitely go on Google, just check your job area. For example, if you're a lecturer in engineering, or if you want to be a lecturer in engineering, just look at lecturing roles in engineering and they will come up. But the easiest way to do it is I go to jobs.ac.uk. Honestly, all of my jobs that I've gotten in the UK are from jobs.ac.uk, and this is just to mention that I've applied for maybe 5 jobs. I got 3, I turned down 1, and I didn't get 1. So I mean, I don't think I do too bad, with my track record. 5, 3 I was offered, 1 I turned down. So the one I turned down, I was invited for interview, but I turned down that, like, I'm not going for the interview. And then the other one, they didn't employ me. But I was literally during my PhD. I was still in my PhD, so I think I understood why they didn't employ me for that one. So yeah, jobs.ac.uk. What I do is I have email alerts set up for them. Literally any job that comes into the UK, that comes from universities will get posted there, and I get alerted for my own course. So public health, any public health jobs, they send it to my. I did health in general, so they will send me any health related roles, and I just check. And sometimes if I don't need a job for a long time, I don't even check it. And when I do need a job, I will check. Sometimes I pause it as well. So for you, if you're interested, try and set up email alerts, and that way you could know what are the requirements in your field. Even if you don't have them, map your skills to each requirement and see how you can, for those that you don't have, how you can meet those requirements as well. What can you do? Do you need to volunteer? Do you need to look for mentor that can help you get into some of those experiences, that can help you get experiences in those areas, blah blah blah. Long story short, the other one is the Times Hire website. I think that one, they also post some jobs. Obviously Guardian as well posts jobs. There's so many places that post lecturer jobs, but I personally just use jobs.ac.uk because it gives me all I need in lecturing job. There's no job that I got stuck. So there's those jobs that I'm aware of that they don't post on that platform. So that for me is just one-stop shop. So if you're interested, just go and sign up for them and keep your eye out, and you'll probably see something that tickle your fancy that you can apply for. Obviously, I would say once you're getting close to the end of your program, especially those that are doing PhD, just keep applying. Sometimes they will call you back. If they don't call you back, that means you're not yet ready. Keep adding up to your portfolio. Review your application, especially your CV, your personal statements. Take example of personal. In each job, they will ask questions about your skills. Write out responses to them as a form of practice. Show it to people, show it to lecturers, show it to professors, people that are in your field. Let them give you feedback while you keep on trying. Once you get invited to interviews, it means you can literally do the job. Now all you have to do is get into the interview and sell yourself. You're good to go. So I do hope you enjoyed this session on lecturing in the UK and everything that has to do with lecturing, or a little bit of it, not everything. Can't push everything. So short time. But anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea. The next one I'm going to maybe think about around this topic area is, obviously I would like to talk you through preparing for interview. No, before preparing for interview, I would like to talk you through and maybe show you how you could do your CV, your statements to support the questions they will be asking you in your job application, and then maybe interview once you get to the post of the position of getting invited for interviews. So until then, I do hope you find some value in this. If you do find value, please do like, share this, and just inform people. It would help me, and I would also like to help more people as well. So thank you, and do have a good day, and bye bye.